Okay. It says this webinar is being recorded.
Thank you. And then after the meeting, can you send me the recording, because it will probably send you a copy.
We'll connect after.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Okay.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lawyer Assistance Program Oversight Committee meeting of the State Bar. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. Jennifer, can you please take the roll?
Justin Delacruz?
Here.
Heather Benton?
Here.
James Hiding? Tracy Lesage?
Here.
Phil Spiegel? Martin Williams? Elise Yenny?
Here.
Okay, we have 4 members out of 7 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next on the agenda is call for public comment. State Bar staff will attempt to call members of the public in the order that they appear in the attendee pool.
Right now, I'm not seeing any members in the participants list. Let me check the panelist list. Let me look at the attendees list. Okay. For those who are participating by Zoom video, you should have a function for virtually raising your hand. It is a hand icon and should appear at the bottom center of your screen. If you wish to address the committee, please click on the hand icon now, and State Bar staff will call you in the order that hands are raised. For those who are participating by phone, you may virtually raise your hand by pressing *9. That is the star key, then number 9. Again, doing so will alert staff that you would like to make a comment, and State Bar staff will call on you and open your microphone so that you can address the committee. Due to time restrictions, we cannot allow more than 3 minutes for each speaker. Please note that staff will have a countdown timer during the duration of your public comment. The timer's 3-minute countdown will begin as soon as you start your comment, and you will be verbally alerted once you have 30 seconds remaining. So the first, oh, go ahead, Justin.
If there are any members of the public who wish to speak, Jennifer, please identify them.
Okay, our first speaker is Rev Frank. I'm going to allow him to talk and then set a 3-minute timer.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you guys doing? I don't know if any of you have checked out my complaints about the State Bar on VanessaHolton.com. One of the things I know you're talking about today is Rule 8.3, which requires attorneys to report if they see other attorneys committing criminal acts, correct? Or acts that are probably considered unethical. Kevin DeSantis, if you go to VanessaHolton.com down to around September 20th, he sent me a State Bar response letter where he actually says that it wasn't required for California attorneys to turn in other attorneys when they commit what they think are egregious acts or unethical acts. The trouble is, in that report, Kevin DeSantis forgot to admit that Ross Heckman was not the attorney just watching. He was actually the attorney of record that helped a client commit bankruptcy fraud. Now, out of all of that, on VanessaHolton.com, again, you can read where I filed the State Bar complaint against Vanessa, and she decided to file a police report against me, which is a felony, and it's related to a lot of other criminal acts you guys have gone on. And again, with Leah being the executive director, with George being the chief trial counsel, these two people were in charge when, Tom Girardi and Michael Avenatti were both ripping off the public. Why is it that they can stay in their positions? Why is it that they can continue to work at their jobs when, in fact, they should have been fired long ago for just egregious criminal acts and ignoring the fact that these people were stealing money and they didn't do anything? How can we build trust in you guys again if you continue to go down the same path of allowing the State Bar to control the intake on the State Bar complaint system? Because even what's going to happen? An attorney's going to turn in another attorney for stealing money from Michael Avenatti or Tom Girardi style, and you guys are going to ignore it. How are an attorney going to be able to trust that you can follow through without criticizing their career or damaging their career based on the fact that they filed a complaint against an attorney they saw doing wrong? The case against me that Vanessa Holton filed with the San Rafael Police Department never went anywhere because she's a public individual. She claimed that I was harassing and demeaning her, which is a joke because she is a joke. But the whole thing comes down to that is what the public is allowed to do. And when she files a police report, she should have all the facts necessary to go through to prosecution. But the San Rafael police dropped the report because they couldn't find anything to charge me with.
You have
She's a
15
public-
seconds left, Rev.
Okie dokie. It's Reverend, by the way. I just shortened it down to Rev. But this again, how are we ever going to trust you guys when they continue to ignore criminal acts done by your people and the state bar continues to allow itself to police
Your
itself?
time is up, Reverend.
Goodbye. Fuck off.
Thank you for providing your public comment. Jennifer, are there any other public comments?
Let me check for you. Just one moment. Next, we have Todd Hill, and I will allow him to talk. Okay, your microphone should be on now, and you have 3 minutes for public comment, and I am starting the timer now. Are you there, Todd Hill?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much. And thank you for the time and the opportunity. I can understand that the public has a lot of frustration, but I do think that there is decorum that's appropriate, and so I do apologize. That said,
Sorry about that. Are you still with us, Todd? You may have muted yourself, possibly.
well, I think that you muted me because
Oh, okay. I apologize.
my handle. It's very strange. Are you gonna restart my timer, please?
Three minutes has started.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I will have to restart again. As you're all aware, the state bar has determined that I require an additional year in a program at a school that is currently under probation and therefore under the direct control of the state bar as a regulator. And I will get how this ties to the assistance program, other than, of course, my request for assistance. As I've said, PCL can't grant degrees, and so they're sort of barred from me seeking specific performance for my degree, and they are not offering the coursework. And really, the bar assumed that obligation when it took control of the school, right? PCL can coherently argue that they can't grant any degrees because the state bar is in control of the institution. Okay? It's very important, right? So the state bar does nothing to compel the school to fulfill its obligations, again, which is an undertaking. And quite frankly, PCL did receive support from the bar in making things difficult and, quite frankly, impossible for me to transfer. State bar policy doesn't allow me to transfer to public universities like my alma mater, which really, quite frankly, is something that you guys should look at, because when we talk in the world of like paying back student debt, well then if you incur student debt as a function of the state sort of trying to maximize the cost of that, because basically what it's done is it's separated this unit credit hour, right? There's two classes of credit hours, separate but equal, right? Separate but equal coin, established by federal law in the Higher Education Act, to basically allow for Title IV programs to operate. Now, just because you don't participate in a federal program doesn't mean that you're not covered by the statute for a federal program, right? And so what's happening here is, and it's very simple, you've got two tests. The folks who are sort of poor, who go through the supposedly equal access, we're really keeping this for the poor to be able to have a legal education. The reality is that the two tests that are employed.
Todd
plus-
Hill, you have 30 seconds left to speak.
Oh, thank you very much, Ben. Basically, what it functions as is quite frankly, it's a Hunger Games. And so the reasonable person honestly does not participate in certain kinds of conduct. The reasonable person doesn't stay in a place where they know that the people are acting unlawfully. The reasonable person does not aid when they have a duty to act and have been informed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for providing public comment. Jennifer, are there any others who wish to provide public comment?
Yes, one moment, let me. Find out who that is. Maria Rapier, I'm not sure if I'm saying that the right way.
It doesn't look like anyone else has raised their hands to speak. So I
Oh,
think-
okay, thank you. Okay, so that's all we have then.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
I don't know whether it's just my lack of understanding or what, but it seems to me that when we get some of these calls, we should probably direct those individuals to the proper channel that they need to lodge their complaint. I think when they see that we're having a committee meeting, they think it's the bar in general. And I think it kind of doesn't serve us or them to not let them know that they've called the wrong place.
Sure. Phil, I can speak to that briefly. Both of those individuals are in communications with several other, with the Board of Trustees themselves, as well as other offices within the state as well already.
Okay, and I'm hard pressed to understand if they're not in the program, if they're not in LAP, that then they need to have the proper information to know who to continue talking with. That's all. I just kind of surprised.
Okay. And hi, Philip. It's good to see you. Next item is approval of the December 9th open session minutes. Are there any corrections or modifications to the open session minutes? Seeing none, may I have a motion and a second?
I'll move the minutes be approved.
Second.
So Tracy moved and Philip and Elise seconded. Jennifer, please call the roll.
Heather Benton,
Yes.
Jim Hiding, Tracy Lesage,
Approved.
Phil Spiegel,
Present.
Martin Williams, Elise Yenny,
Approve.
Justin Delacruz.
Approve.
Okay, the minutes have been approved.
Next on the agenda is a staff report, and this item is being presented by Michelle Harmon.
Thank you, Justin. I don't have a very long staff report, but I do have very good news in my staff report. Something that we have talked about for historically with this committee for years and years was the necessity of having licensed clinicians in a lot of our positions, especially the clinical monitoring positions. And starting at the beginning of January, we were actually able to make that happen. So now what used to be called clinical rehabilitation coordinator is now called clinical monitoring analyst, which means is jargony for the bar, but essentially means it's a slight pay raise, a difference in the stature of the position, and a different job description, which includes a minimum qualification of having a license as a mental health clinician, licensed clinical social worker, licensed marriage and family therapist. So one of those types of licensed psychologist, those types of licenses. So I know that's been very important to this committee in the past, and you would be happy to hear about that. And along with that is we've been able to fill that position now. So we are finally fully staffed, and we have a new clinical monitoring analyst. So we've got all 4 of the monitoring roles filled on the monitoring side. And the new person is named Rachel Prue. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist, and she is also actually licensed as an attorney in Connecticut, not in California. She's not practicing as an attorney. And she started January 9th, and so she's a month in and training, and it's wonderful. So this is very exciting for us. Is there a comment? Okay, the other information that I wanted to share kind of goes hand in hand with the annual report that we'll be talking about. But I thought this would be, so we can be a little more focused on it. The annual report refers to a demographic survey that we started doing at the end of 2022, which I believe we talked about briefly at previous meetings also. So we've started administering the survey to get a better idea of who is using the LAP. And we have gotten yesterday, when I was putting the numbers together as of yesterday, we had gotten 52 responses to it so far. It was rolled out in December. We sent it to the current participants who were doing their quarterly paperwork at the time as part of the rest of the paperwork that we asked them but not required them to submit. It's anonymous, so they don't have names on it. And going forward, we will give it to the new people as they come in as part of their onboarding paperwork. They'll get a link to this survey. So let me give you a snapshot of what we have found out so far. So one of the things we asked is who is an active attorney, who's a law student. And now of these, not every single person responded to every question. So even though we had 52 responses, sometimes not everyone responded. Everyone did respond to this one. That's an easy one. 46% or active attorneys, 38.5% or law students. So depending on where you're coming from, whether if you're surprised or not at that, but we do have a lot of law students. And then there was some other responses. Of the question, if you're required to participate in LAP, or in other words, voluntarily. So I think the way it's all written out is, are you required to by the Office of Admissions or Alternative Discipline Program? 56% said yes, and 44% said no. And that is of people who are being monitored. So this is not the support part of the program. Regarding ethnicity, 57.1% white, 14.3% Hispanic Latino, 8.9% Asian, 7.1% Black African American, and also 7.1% Middle Eastern North African. When it comes to gender, male, female, 78% male, 22% female. See some nodding, not surprised by that. Sexual orientation we asked about, 87.5% heterosexual, 10% gay or lesbian, with those two combined, and then 2.1% responded was not listed. Yes. Almost through the numbers. I know this is a lot of stuff like throwing out at you. For age, we asked about age range. So 20 to 30, 30 to 40. The highest number was in the 40 to 50, 34% were in the 40 to 50 years of age. Only 10% in the 20 to 30, and then only 8% in the 60 to 70 on the ends there, and everybody else was in the middle. And then lastly, this is something we've talked about a lot, which is the reason that they initiated contact of the people who responded to this. And actually, by the way, the total number of responses to this question were 71. So there were people who responded to more than one of these options. 22% said for a mental health problem, 56%, more than half, for a substance use problem. And then almost 10%, 9.9% for personal or job stress, 5.5% for career counseling, and 5.5% also for other. So it's a small sample, but actually compared to our LAP population, not super small. I think we got a pretty good rate because when we sent this out, there were about 160-ish enrolled in LAP, and then the new people coming in. So so it tells us some of what we knew: mostly white, mostly male, mostly heterosexual, and 56.3% substance use problems, which is different than what we had reported in the 21 annual report, that most people were coming from mental health problems. And right now, the people who are here, most of them were saying they've got substance use problems. So any comments or questions?
I do have a question. In terms of the change in percentage from mental health to substance abuse, do you think that the pandemic and the COVID and the quarantine had anything to do with the change in numbers, or do you think it's some sort of other dynamic that's going on?
One of the differences is that it's a different sample. So actually, when we look at the annual report, we'll have the sample of what people said for the whole year at intake, and this is just the sample of people who responded to a voluntary demographic survey. So I probably shouldn't have compared the two. Otherwise, I don't know what would account for the difference. Any other comments or questions?
Thank you for putting that together. I think it'll be really helpful, especially as we start to look at benchmarks and things to tailor it using that data.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's it for me now, Justin. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. We'll now turn to the business portion of the agenda. Next on the agenda is item D1, discussion of proposed rule of professional conduct 8.3. And this item is being presented by Erica Doherty.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Justin. So I just wanted to give a brief update on proposed rule of professional conduct 8.3. If you'll recall, we discussed it very briefly at December's meeting, just in regards to what the Committee on Professional Responsibility and Conduct was being tasked with in regards to the rule. So the rule has been drafted and it's been issued for a public comment period. That public comment period ends a week from today, Friday, February 17th. And we're also going to be hosting a public hearing, which will be taking place next Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then COPRAC will be revisiting the rule, reviewing those public comments, written and oral, and perhaps making revisions to the rule for it to go to the Board of Trustees. At that point, it will have an additional public comment period. The Board of Trustees would have to approve it, and then it goes to the Supreme Court for them to approve. All rules of professional conduct must be approved by the California Supreme Court. What I wanted to update you on was there was some feedback that this committee provided at the December meeting, which was, Justin, I believe it was your feedback, which was to have language in the rule that said that not only does the rule require, but the rule does not authorize disclosure of certain information. And that portion of the rule was incorporated based on this committee's feedback. So that's within proposed rule 8.3's paragraph C, as in cat. And what it basically says is this rule does not require or authorize disclosure of information gained by a lawyer while participating in a substance use or mental health program. And what is different with this rule compared to the ABA model rule 8.3, as well as the rule in the majority of jurisdictions, is most other states and jurisdictions, 8.3 has a carve out for information obtained while in participation in a lawyer assistance program or another program that is authorized by their state bar. This goes beyond that as currently proposed. So it's any substance use or mental health program, that information. So that would likely include, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, things of those nature, not just things that are necessarily limited to lawyers like our group facilitator meetings and those types of things. So there's also a comment to the rule. Comments are not part of the rule itself, but they're typically guidance. And what comment 4 talks about is the reason for having that carve out, and it's essentially to encourage lawyers, obviously, to seek treatment, and to explain that without an exception, that lawyers may be hesitant to do so, which could result in additional harm to their career, as well as injuries to the welfare of their clients and the public. So that there's a public protection aspect of having this carve out of the duty to report under Rule 8.3. So I'm happy to answer any questions on that. I just wanted to kind of give you an update. So like I said, public comment, if any of the committee members would like to give written public comment, the deadline for that for this round is next Friday, February 17th.
And if we were to give public comment, it would be in our individual capacity, not as a member or a representative of this committee, right?
That's correct. If the committee wanted to give public comment, likely based on timing, the best opportunity to do that would likely be at the Board of Trustees public comment period in the future. And that's certainly something, if this committee would like to pursue, we could coordinate. I would suggest, if this committee wanted to do that, having a working group of some kind to be able to look at that and pursue that in the interim, so that at our next meeting, which is at the end of April, the committee would be able to look at a draft of the public comment and then vote as to whether or not to issue it.
Is there any interest in providing public comment from this particular committee? It seems like we provided input on the part that affects our committee and our program. I don't know if others have thoughts on, unique comments that we want to provide as a committee. Not just as, lawyers or members of the public, but something specific that, would be appropriate to come from this committee. I'm not really seeing any burning desires to provide a separate public comment on behalf of the committee, so.
I think it was what was addressed was relevant to us already.
Well, that sounds good to me. Okay, are there any other questions for Erica on this rule? All right, next on the agenda is item D2, discussion of the 2022 Lawyer Assistance Program Annual Report. And this item is being presented by Michelle Harmon.
Thank you. So this is our huge project for the year, and the way this meeting is timed, the report is due March 1st. So the way this meeting is timed is it's not been submitted yet. It's still in draft form. I think it's been a couple years since we've had a meeting while still in draft form. We're usually meeting right afterwards and looking at the final report. So what you have linked to your agenda today, of course, if you read it, is not done yet, but it gives you a lot of information about what we're reporting last year. And I will highlight some of that. One is that we do talk about, like I said, this demographic survey that we started last year, at the end of 22. And so the idea is that next year in the annual report, we'll include some data from that survey, and we'll get some more. It also gives some information about the presentations that LEDA does during the year, and during 2022, we provided 89 presentations. 8 were at law schools on their campuses, but we also had that state bar day, which I think we've talked about before, where it's open to law students from anywhere, and there were 69 different schools represented at those law school days. Let's see, I want to highlight that. So remember, we have a satisfaction survey. One of the things that we look at is it quarterly is providing the option, like I said, with the demographic survey. That's also the time that we provide this satisfaction survey, and it's optional, also is anonymous unless they want to put their name. There's an option there to put the name on it, and it gives the participants a chance to give us feedback about their groups, about the group facilitators, about the staff. And we had created a metric of wanting to achieve at least 80% or higher of people agreeing or strongly agreeing that the information and services provided by LAP effectively and appropriately address their goals, and over 80% that they're satisfied with their LAP experience and overall response. So we met that in every quarter last year. The responses were between 86 and 94% agreed or strongly agreed with both of those statements. Regarding our numbers, we were down last year. I think, like we started mentioning a little bit earlier, there's a bit of a correction because we had such a surge last year, which at the time we interpreted as because of COVID. And so we had 172 new intakes in 22. The year before it was 192, but the year before that it was only 141. So we're kind of in the middle there, and still 172 is up from actually all the previous 1, 2, 3, 4 years, except for last. And that's for the full LAP program. So those are people coming in and enrolling in, you know, you've heard about the changes we've gone through. So kind of lumping all the voluntary and mandatory people as we had the program split in the beginning of 2022. It's including all of those people. It's not including the brief services like the career counseling and the individual counseling. So for those, for what we call the transition assistance service, we had 135 people who used that last year, which was also down from the previous year. We had 174. And then I did go in the minutes while Erica was talking, Heather, I went back and looked at the 2021 annual report about the presenting problems. So these numbers are taken from what people say at intake when they're enrolling in the monitoring or the voluntary part of LAP at the time, where they weren't being monitored, but they were still doing the full intake with our staff, with case management staff, and having an assessment, and then going to the LAP groups and doing that whole process. So, so as you can see on there, in 2022, 48% of people said they were coming for both mental health and substance use problems. That's up from last year, which was 46%. So it's 2%. It's not huge. And mental health was down from what people were reporting at intake. 32% last year in 2021 said that they were coming in solely for a mental health issue, and it was only 27% for 22. And then the substance use went up 2 percentage points. So I don't have any way to account for that. I don't know if it's statistically significant, because probably somebody would need to like look at those numbers a little more closely, but could just be, you know, how things like panned out this year. And then let's see, what the main part I wanted to highlight for you. There's always, you know, a question about termination. We really try to work with people if they want to work with us. We only had one case terminated last year, which was an issue of person not responding. So essentially that person left and stopped responding, but because it was somebody who had already been enrolled in the monitoring for a while, we needed to go through the process of our clinical review team terminating that file and closing it. And 42% left for a reason of having met their program goals, which is described more in depth in the report, but that's for those people who finished their abeyance, who successfully completed, and who left with like the support part of the program saying that their goals had been met. And then there were those who we didn't admit and who discontinued their contact, just kind of MIA sometimes, and self-maintenance, those people who said they're going to continue what they're doing. It's not that they had a problem with LAP, but they didn't need it to be monitored anymore. Regarding the expenditures, it says placeholder in here because we did not get the data from finance at the time that this was written. I did get it this morning, so I have a little bit of information for you, but it's not written up yet in here. So the thing that we highlighted about last year, 2021, was that we were at an operating deficit of about 140,000. For 2022, similar, a little bit more, 150,000. So still operating at a deficit, still have reserves. So we are handling it. We're cutting into our reserves, which of course we've talked about before too, has been a goal is to bring down the reserves a bit. But I know that that's going to be relevant for those of you, for the whole group, and especially the working group who's talking about financial assistance and what we can do to work on that process. So I think that wraps it up for what I have to say. What do you all have for comments and questions? Yes.
I do have a question. I'm sorry to be annoying, but are we looking for trends across like ethnicity and employment type and like, you know, I feel like it would be really helpful to understand
Yes.
where people are coming from. You know, are most of the mental health coming from large firms? Or are they dual diagnosis coming from large? You know, it would be very helpful to kind of have some cross variable data to kind of just try to understand what the patterns are.
Okay, that's very interesting. So yes, we have thought that would be useful to know. We hadn't had a way before now of collecting it like this. So that's why we implemented this demographic survey where people can respond to those types of questions. I didn't go through it and list because it just seemed like it would be a lot to go through all the practice areas, but we did also ask on there people who are practicing, if they are practicing, how long, and what area they're practicing in. What we haven't done yet, and I will, I think is a really excellent idea, is see if there's a way to look at the data to connect those. So to see if in the, you know, we have male, female. So in male, female, how many are practicing, how many are students, how many are, and be able to look at it that way. So
I think cross tabulations in SPSS should do that pretty easily.
we did this on Formsite. So data's in Formsite, and I'm not experienced enough with it to know how to get the data out again, but I will talk to the person who is doing that and see what he can figure out.
I can speak to that very briefly. Just it's the reason we're doing it through the method we are is because it is all exportable to Excel, so that we can use that data and manipulate that data and look at you know, different ways to evaluate it comparatively. Heather, I'll just add that the benefit of the demographic data that we're looking at on both the monitoring and support services side is to inform how support services can also be of more assistance to individuals, you know, perhaps proactively and prospectively, right? So we're seeing the trends that we're getting from those who are already in the lawyer assistance program, both on the monitoring side and support services side. And obviously, you know, there may be some predictive trends in there to a certain extent. And so to the extent we can reach out to those groups before they get to the lawyer assistance program, that's one of the goals of obtaining this information as well.
So do we track demographic data when they come in, or is it really like you guys just set up a survey now? Because I feel like we should be tracking it as they come in, so we have a much more accurate picture of what's happening, rather than having just sort of the voluntary survey that, you know, people may or may not decide to do.
So we are tracking it from intake going forward. I believe my understanding with the demographic surveys that we were trying to get to those who are already within the system, but we are beginning to track that information from when they do the intake.
Other comments? Of course, please let us know if any of you caught any typos or anything odd in here, or that didn't make sense to you. Email me directly so we can get that changed. But hopefully this will be finalized and out the door soon, and then you will you'll all see it in its final version.
All right, thank you, Michelle. And next on the agenda is item D3, discussion of the Financial Assistance Working Group. And this item is also being presented by Michelle Herman.
And me presenting it was going to ask you and those people who are on the Financial Assistance Working Group if you would like to give an update of what was talked about or bring anything to the group. So that was Justin and Tracy who are on that work group.
Tracy, go ahead if you.
Well, I was gonna let you go ahead. I thought Michelle wrote down the action items that we were going to discuss when we met again, which I didn't take down, so.
We do have action items for our next meeting for when the working group works together, and you're looking for information about financial assistance in the past. So how much had been loaned out, mainly how much had been paid back over the year, and where that money goes, which, by the way, you can't say to the whole group, there are some people who are paying back their loans. And last year we received back, it was like around 5,000, or a little bit over 5,000. And it's going back to the lab fund. It's not going into the general fund or anything. It's going back to where it came from, essentially.
I think some other things we had discussed was what limitations we would have in kind of maybe revamping the financial assistance program, whether we wanted to consider scholarships, grants, as opposed to a loan, whether there were any, legal or regulatory prohibitions against doing that. Then we also have the practical issue of operating at a deficit, whether that is actually practical for us to do something like that. And then looking at thresholds, we haven't updated our minimum or our maximum income to qualify for the financial assistance in almost 20 years, 15 years. So, $40,000, which is our maximum that a family of 3 can make, I think, to be eligible is not, I'm not sure how many people are making that little. I'm sure there's a lot, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who are also making more than that who can really benefit. So we're going to be looking at that and possibly looking at maybe some federal income benchmarks to kind of help us guide that. And I think it's going to be a year-long process for us. We're going to be meeting, I think every 2 months, something like that.
Every 2 months.
Every 2 months, yeah.
Scheduled out until the end of the summer, and then maybe he was thinking we would need to ramp it up then. So we're scheduled out through August.
Yeah. So I think.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say.
Yes, I did find some of my notes, and one thing we also discussed was maybe making if it was a loan, making it 0 interest because it was 7% or something. And also talked about maybe ways for the more participants to achieve loan forgiveness. If the loan option continues, and what Justin said too.
Yeah, I think we were just trying to outline different opportunities to make it better and more accessible. And then ultimately came up with the idea of coming back to the group with a recommendation, hopefully, I guess it would be December, for recommended changes. And likely that would be changes to the rules, right? So that would require some kind of regulatory process. So it wouldn't be able to be implemented immediately, but at least we would have our recommendations out there for approval by the full committee. And then I'm not sure what happens after that. Maybe Erica or Michelle can tell us more about that.
If it would require rule changes, be it to the rules of the state bar or a statutory change, that would be something that would have to go through the Board of Trustees. As far as if it's a state bar rule change, that is something that the Board of Trustees can directly approve. Typically, if there's a statutory change, it's a aspect of the legislative priorities that the Board of Trustees approves. And then obviously those would be conversations between legislative staff at the state bar and the state legislature.
Yeah, so I think maybe we would want to get our recommendations together earlier than September so that we could obtain opinion from council as to what kind of approval would be required for different changes so that, if it's going to require a legislative change, like it may or may not be something we pursue based on that.
I'll just say those are certainly things that can be explored in the interim too. You don't have to necessarily have a final recommendation if you want, you know, our Supervisor General Counsel office to look into something as to what type of change would be required, or other staff to look at it too. It doesn't necessarily have to be elevated to General Counsel.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Sure.
I have to sign off. I have a staff meeting to go to, so, but great job.
Good to see you, Heather.
Bye.
Hi, Heather.
Since I'm still involved with reviewing the requests for financial assistance, I should like to participate in your group. I apologize for not having been present for a couple of meetings. I've had some health issues and some work issues that have been kind of daunting, but I've gotten through a lot of those now. So, because I have some ideas, and I also think that we need to look at the criteria that we're using for all these things. So I'd like to be a part of the group, if that's okay, Justin, so we can, I think I've got some ideas about it.
So
just-
let's,
Yeah, do we have to be a smaller group? I can't recall, because also Mr. Hiding's on it too, so
Right.
that's 4 people now.
so you'd have a quorum, so somebody would need to go off of the group.
I can step off.
Or I was gonna say, if there's just ideas, like I think in a format like this, it would be permitted for you to give an idea that for the working group to consider. Or if you had a comment that you wanted to make about the criteria or something, you can let me know about it. So
I'm a firm advocate of Philip being on the committee. I just didn't want to volunteer him while he wasn't present at the meetings. So
You can do that.
because
Okay.
because he's been involved in this program, and particularly, you know, the financial assistance portion of it. I don't know. Before I was, I mean, I feel like definitely Phil should be on it. So if it requires one stepping off, I'm glad to cede to Phil.
Thanks. I'd like to participate.
And I won't be shy about providing recommendations during meetings. How about that?
so we will put you, Phil, on the list for emails and meeting invites and things like that, and take Justin off. All right, anything else from working group? From that working group? We have another one coming up.
Yeah.
All right. So next on the agenda is item D4, discussion of the benchmark successful completion working group. And this item is also being presented by Michelle Harmon.
And I was going to ask the same thing of that working group. And unfortunately, Elise, you're it because your other working group member just left. So.
That sounds good. So we met earlier in the week to kind of orient ourselves to what we needed to do. We had a couple action items. So one is that Michelle is going to email the listserv of LAP program directors across the country to start to get an idea of what they're doing in terms of benchmarks and successful completion, just so that if we don't have to reinvent the wheel, we don't start doing that. She also sent us out the LAP policy manual so that we can look over that and kind of use that again to ground our discussions. So we have another meeting set for March something. So we'll start meeting then, and it's going to be a bit of a meta benchmark meeting where we will set the benchmarks for the benchmark subcommittee at that next meeting. And I think that's it. Michelle, if I missed anything, please feel free to fill in.
Sounds right. March something sounds right. Yeah, I have nothing else to add.
Any questions for the working group? All right, seeing none. That concludes today's agenda. The next LAP Oversight Committee meeting is scheduled for Friday, April 28th, 2023, from 12 to 2 p.m. and will take place remotely. And that concludes our meeting, and we are adjourned.
I will
Great.
stop recording.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
move to
we're
adjourn.
All right,
Yeah, you guys.
bye.